Rusty Glock killed the man. Rusty Glock killed the man.
Hey man, I'm DieHard Derek. Welcome back to WrestleMania Now, presented by the Midnight Hustle. WrestleMania. The event many believe saved pro wrestling. That's a bold statement. Saved pro wrestling? Granted, Vince bought up most of the territories, but he still had some competition out there. I think the proper analogy is that it evolved pro wrestling. It reinvented pro wrestling. It launched pro wrestling into the mainstream media and pop culture. But saved? Fuck out of here. Let's ask Lex Luger if he thinks WrestleMania saved pro wrestling. Hey Lex, you think WrestleMania saved pro wrestling?
I don't know!
Well, there you have it. He doesn't know either. Look, I don't take anything away from what WrestleMania means to the business. 40 years and billions of dollars later, the numbers don't lie. It's the centerpiece, the hood ornament, and dare I say, the crown jewel of the industry. It paved the way and sets the standard for everything that has followed since. There is no greater event in the history of professional wrestling then, now, or forever than WrestleMania. And as we approach a 40th anniversary, it saddens me, for nostalgic reasons, that the event doesn't come back home to the Mecca to celebrate 4 decades of excellence. But the truth is, WrestleMania has outgrown Madison Square Garden. 18,000 seats just doesn't cut it anymore. Now WrestleMania sells out football stadiums with 100,000 seat capacity for 2 nights. Our baby's all grown up now, isn't it? That growth is progress. That profit is progress. The numbers don't lie. But it wasn't always like that. It took a long time for WrestleMania to grow into what we know it today. And today, DieHard is going to go back in time to 1985, to the one that started it all, and review WrestleMania 1 from Madison Square Garden. I'm curious to see how well this event holds up 40 years later. I want to break it down with these experienced eyes and this gifted mind, and give it the proper, unfiltered review that only DieHard Derek can give. We're going to review every match in detail, talk about its quality, talk about its booking, talk about what they did or maybe should have done, and give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And at the end, we'll tally the numbers for the event's final score. Let's see if it still holds up, because the numbers don't lie. So strap in or get your strap on or whatever floats your boat. I ain't judging, but I'm about to pass judgment on WrestleMania 1. Roll that tape, you silly bitches. I gotta be honest right off the bat, I'm not fully impressed with the quality of this card. We'll get into that in a few. What also doesn't impress me are these lame-ass graphics. I know it's 1985 and there's no Photoshop, but seriously. I know this is gonna be the unpopular opinion, but Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura are my all-time favorite commentating duo. I know everybody says Gorilla and Heenan, but the Brain was the best manager. He was amazing in the booth, but for comedy, Gorilla always brought the in-depth knowledge and recon on the wrestlers and knew every hole in the book, and Jesse the Body was just ruthless. And he always told it like it is. He always said he did that. I'm going to tell it like it is. I'm going to call it right down the middle, Monsoon. And he did. And even though you fucking hated him, you couldn't help but agree with him. Howard Finkel welcomes the world to WrestleMania. You think he knew, or that crowd knew, that this was the beginning of something that would last generations? Yo, who the fuck booked Mean Gene to sing the national anthem? This is the first WrestleMania. You're already shooting yourself in the foot. Mean Gene out here thinking he's Robert Goulet. This is the way Gene used to flirt with the girls in the bar. He'd serenade them with a song and a martini, with a cigarette dangling off his lip like he was in the fucking Rat Pack. Well, considering the name, maybe he was Rat Pack. Look, I know. I was there. I saw this shit firsthand in WCW. Mean Gene was a fucking pimp. One of my biggest breaks in WCW happened because Mean Gene got lost partying one night with, I'm not going to say hookers, but hookers. He got so fucked up he couldn't perform at the WCW Beantown Brawl, and newly hired DieHard was called in to fill in. That didn't go over well with some of the boys in the back, and I'm not talking about the wrestlers. I'm talking about the other guys vying for the mic. That's a story for another time. But this time, though, who thought Mean Gene singing the national anthem was a good idea? You book all these celebrities and you kick off with Mean Gene? Thank God at Mania 2 they leveled up with Ray Charles. Gene was like, yo, Vinny, I can do it again. And Vinny was like, nah, I'm good. Kicking off the first ever WrestleMania is Tito Santana versus the Executioner. What? Who booked this Saturday morning squash match? Tito's a former IC champion, and he's wrestling a jobber in the very first match of the very first WrestleMania. That's like if WrestleMania 40 opened with Gunther versus an out-of-shape indie worker you've never seen before. Why wasn't Don Morocco booked on this show? He's a former IC champion. Tito was out there chasing Greg the Hammer Valentine for the IC title. Both Tito Santana and Don Morocco are both former IC champions, and they could have had a hell of an opening match on this card to see who gets a shot at the current Intercontinental Champion. That makes perfect sense, not this. And if you're going to put him up against a jobber, why not someone who is more seasoned, like Iron Mike Sharp, Moondog Spot, Johnny Rods? Instead, you got Playboy Buddy Rose dressed up in a hood as a fucking executioner that nobody's ever seen before. Oh, and Tito's promo. I respect all my opponents, and I have goals, and you won't get in the way of my goals. Hariba! What? This is why we have scriptwriters now. He probably couldn't cut a good promo because there was no legit reason for this fucking match to begin with. It already makes no sense. Then Mean Gene brings in the Executioner for his promo, and he's like, we know absolutely nothing about this man. So why the fuck is he booked on WrestleMania? What are his credentials? Oh, we're doing tryouts on the biggest show ever? Gotcha. Again, so many talents that weren't booked on this show. Where's Don Morocco? Can somebody please tell me why he's not on this card? Bret Hart was just fresh on the scene in WWE, pre-Hart Foundation. Can you imagine Tito Santana versus Bret the Hitman Hart to kick off the first ever WrestleMania? But no! We get the fucking Executioner! Then the Executioner's promo. You'll know something about me after I get through with Santana. Yeah, no shit. It'll be the only thing we know. Then he talks about going after Santana's leg, the leg injured by Greg the Hammer Valentine. He's like, I'm here to go after the leg and nothing else. You know what the Executioner gets to do in this entire match? Go after the fucking leg. I love how Jesse the Body Ventura attempted to use racial slurs in his commentary, calling Tito Chico. Let Michael Cole try that shit today on Rey Mysterio. Wrestling fans on social media will lose their fucking mind. They'll cancel him before the match even ends. Tito always looks great in the ring. But as a preview to the guy who's being groomed to regain the IC title, this match did nothing for him at all. You think you deserve a title shot because you beat the fucking Executioner? This match is a preliminary opener on any card. It belongs on Saturday morning on Wrestling Challenge, not WrestleMania. Tito deserved better. There were plenty of other qualified opponents. I'm not going to put this match over because it was the first ever WrestleMania match ever. The fuck out of here. This was poorly thought out by today's standards and even the standards of 1985. This was getting a thumbs down. Yo, why does Lord Alfred Hayes look like he just took a shit in his pants? Like, why is he so nervous? I get it, it's WrestleMania, but it's not like WrestleMania like it is today. Lord Alfred Hayes looked like he just had some bad Mexican food, and now watery shit is running down the back of his legs while he's wearing this white suit. Alright, next match. King Kong Bundy versus SD Jones. Here we go again. Another fucking jobber match. I liked SD's promo, even though he really didn't say shit. He was like, I'm so happy. I'm gonna get down. Get ready to get down. Yeah, alright, I guess. It's fucking ridiculous that both guys that are set to wrestle each other are in the same room watching each other's promos. Gene has SD Jones over here to the left, does the promo, SD bounces, then he turns to the right, brings in his opponent. The fuck are we doing here? Bring him in together. Let them talk shit to each other's face. Wouldn't that make more sense? Wouldn't it build the match better? A quick face-off, and then you go off and settle it in the ring? Instead, the opponent walks in, acting like he just wasn't standing 5 fucking feet away. Bundy's like, I'm big, I'm fat, I'm gonna get a 5 count on you. SD, I want you to think about this. Think about what? You could have told him that shit to his face 9 seconds ago. You know, I never really liked the pairing of Jimmy Hart and King Kong Bundy. Hart was too animated. Bundy was too mean. Bundy's pairing with Bobby Heenan made much more sense. So, this match did what it set out to do. It established Bundy as a monster heel, as a legitimate threat. They wasted absolutely no time getting that point across effectively. There's no need to have a back and forth match with a jobber. Bundy's a monster. He can't be moved. SD tried, started out like a house of fire, which he really did. He just fucking bounced off the rope, then got caught in the bear hug. He gets cut off in mere seconds, and then boom, squash. It's over. What more is there to do? What else is there to tell? Nothing. And that's why this guy main evented WrestleMania 2. Bundy, not SD Jones. It's a little foreshadowing in my opinion. The only thing, Bundy never asked for the 5 count. He said he was going to get the 5 count. He never asked for the 5 count. But honestly, who's really asking for 2 more seconds of this match? Even though I could have seen this on Saturday morning, Bundy made a name for himself on the big show. Mission accomplished. Thumbs up. Next up, we got Ricky Steamboat versus Matt Borne. 3 matches in, 3 Saturday morning squash matches. I don't know how Matt Borne got booked on the first WrestleMania, but at least he can work and kind of talk. Again, these guys are in the same promo room, but talking like his opponent isn't 5 feet away from him. Borne says Steamboat is a great wrestler, but he's too much of a nice guy. Huh? Where's the threat? Where's the heat? You know what the problem is? You're a nice guy. And? Alright, fuck it, let's fight. Then Steamboat walks in 2 seconds later. I heard what you said about me, that I'm a nice guy. First off, I hope you heard it, because you were standing right fucking there. So what's Steamboat's response to being a nice guy? Well, I'm gonna show you that I got a mean side to me. Ooh. Somebody poked the dragon. At least this match should be better than the fucking promos. Steamboat's always been great in the ring, regardless of his opponent. I challenge you to find a match where Steamboat looks shitty in it. Steamboat was a game changer to the business. You had some high flyers like Snuka, but Steamboat came with that technical finesse. He wasn't fully transitioned into the dragon just yet, but we're getting a taste of the karate and the wrestling blend. Matt Borne does a solid job of selling and making the match look somewhat competitive. Borne's a great hand in the ring, but with a lack of gimmick, there's a lack of interest. Everybody already knows Steamboat's going over, so this is just a little showcase of Steamboat's skills. It's an opportunity for WWE to show off their brand new toy and what you can expect to see more of in the future. It's like a luxury car commercial. Look how sleek he is. Leather interior, alloyed wheels. He's Motor Trend Car of the Year. They're also putting his aerial moves on display for the fans, just in case Jimmy Superfly Snuka ends up in jail for murder, allegedly. Steamboat wins with a high crossbody. Again, not a WrestleMania quality match, but it served its purpose, showcasing Steamboat as a new rising star. I'm feeling generous, so like Bundy's match, I'll give it a thumbs up for business strategy. Next up, we got Brutus Beefcake managed by luscious Johnny Valiant versus David Nepo Baby Sammartino and his dad Bruno in his corner. This absolutely reeks of desperation from Vince McMahon. Here he is, putting on the biggest show of his life after buying the company from his father. Of course he wants Bruno on the card. He probably wanted Bruno in a match. How could you have a WrestleMania and not include the living legend? Bruno was like, nah Vinny, I'm a good. Come on, pal. You made so much money in this very building for my dad. I know, Vinny, but it's not a wrestling anymore. You fucked it up. How about a tag match with your jabroni son? No, Vinny, I'm retired. But since you mentioned my son, I would love for you to give him a spot on the show. Fuck! Can you do me a solid? Can you at least be in his corner? It would really help him connect with the fans if you were there. Okay, Vinny, I'd do it for my baby boy, because I know he's a jabroni. Anyway, here we go again. With everybody's in the same room for the promos, David doesn't even walk away. This dummy stays there, while Beefcake and Johnny V walk in. Also, Bruno just threatened to punch Johnny V in the face if he gets involved. He could have told him that right to his face. He's right fucking there. What's with this promo? Johnny V's a camera hog. Beefcake doesn't say shit. Actually, Beefcake legit just mouth farts into the mic, so I guess he did say shit. That's enough! That's enough! I will not let this man... Then Johnny's blocking Beefcake the entire promo. Nice way to get yourself over, Johnny V. Yo, why is Brutus Beefcake from parts unknown? You couldn't make up some random place in San Francisco for a male stripper? No Papa reaction whatsoever for David Sammartino. Thank God Papa Bruno was there. But this is the Hulkamania generation. Most of these kids don't know who the fuck Bruno is. This is like old timers day at Yankee Stadium. Kids looking at their parents like, who's the old guy? How long does it take Johnny V to get the fuck out of the ring? This guy thinks the show's all about him. He's a mark for himself. Get the fuck out of there already. Yo, David Sammartino's built like a mustard packet. He can barely see over the top rope. The only thing going for David Sammartino is his name. If this match serves any purpose whatsoever, it's that it's reconditioning the fans from what a wrestler used to look like to what they're going to look like moving forward in the future. Sammartino's the boring vanilla wrestler, while Beefcake is the new flavor with sprinkles and cherries and whipped cream and all that other shit that makes him a beefcake. Sammartino spends the entire match using amateur wrestling moves and putting the crowd to sleep. There's no enthusiasm as a babyface whatsoever. If Bruno wasn't ringside and Dave's last name wasn't Sammartino, this would have been another jobber match, and his work rate is lesser than the 3 enhancement talents before him. This is nepotism at its finest. Just when David's making his comeback, Beefcake sends him to the outside so Johnny V can slam him on the concrete. Cue Bruno's run-in, and the crowd finally wakes the fuck up. Bruno throws a couple of live rounds at Johnny V, and you kinda notice Bruno probably wasn't the best worker in his day either. You can almost blame Bruno for David being a shitty wrestler. Match ends in a double DQ. I guess that's fair. There's more money to be made with Beefcake, and you can't let him do the job to an actual jobber, no matter who his daddy is. I'm sure Bruno was politicking to have his son go over. Vince was smart enough to say, no fucking way. There's really nothing to like about this match, at all. I could give a shit about Bruno's nostalgia. That was fan service for fans who were decades removed from the MTV generation. It did nothing to move the business forward. And I'm not putting over personal favors, so thumbs down. Finally, a title match. Greg the Hammer Valentine defends the Intercontinental title against the Junkyard Dog. Finally, a pairing, an encounter between two actual superstars. Finally, the 5th match in, I get something WrestleMania worthy. Valentine was fired up in his promo, giving the viewers the shot of caffeine they desperately needed after 4 preliminary matches. JYD doing the same, using his charisma to get them excited, perhaps give them a little hope. Valentine looking like a real wrestler and a true champion. JYD getting the biggest pop of the night so far, and for good reason. Finally, this crowd is about to get into the show. This is the first match on the card that has real big show energy. I know it's for the IC title, so they have to step their game up, but the quality of the competitiveness between Valentine and JYD has been unmatched thus far. The previous matches all felt one-sided and predictable. Even though there's championship stakes on the line in this match, there's an even heel and babyface balance. Teasing the outcome can go either way. Valentine never plays a chicken shit heel. He respectfully goes blow to blow with the fan favorite. JYD gives the fans what they want. He does his signature character traits. They eat that shit up. But surprisingly, this match is pretty short. For all the seesawing back and forth, you get your basic pop-up on the ring from Jimmy Hart to break up JYD's momentum. JYD takes the bait but moves out the way so Valentine can collide with his own manager. Fans thinking, oh shit, it backfired. JYD's got this one in the bag. Valentine's smart enough to back himself into the corner, and then he uses the ropes for leverage to score the pin, leaving the fans in utter disappointment. But this is where it sells out for fan service. Valentine could have easily walked out a bigger heel with the way he scored the pin. But Tito Santana comes out dressed in his disco clothes and tells the referee how Valentine cheated. So the ref restarts the match and counts Valentine out, who rightfully refuses to get back in the ring. He's like, fuck that, I already won. You want me to wrestle again because Tito said so? Why are you taking his word over mine? You have zero proof. So the decision is reversed. JYD wins by countout, but does not win the title. Classic way to keep the fans happy, but keep the heat on the heel champion. And set up that future encounter with Tito Santana. Bravo, gentlemen. That is a WrestleMania quality match. You kept it balanced. You didn't rely on rest holds. You kept it tight on time. There was no need to drag this out. And you told a story that plays on the emotions of the fans, and it was the epitome of efficiency. This one gets a big thumbs up from DieHard. Next up, tag team titles are on the line. Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkoff challenge a U.S. Express, Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda. Side note, U.S. Express is being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. Not sure why. Listen, they're both two great performers. And even though they held these tag team titles twice, it's nothing memorable. Windham was in and out of the company. Rotunda had to go out and find a new partner in Danny Spivey. Both title reigns are relatively short. And there's a long list of former tag team champions that are more deserving for induction into the Hall of Fame. Demolition, the Natural Disasters, the British Bulldogs, the Nasty Boys. Windham's already in the Hall of Fame as a horseman. Rotunda can go in as IRS. Or with DiBiase as part of Money Incorporated. They held the tag team titles a couple of times too. Sorry, I just don't get this induction at all. But anyway, back to the match. Look, proof right here. Their promos are the drizzling shits. Sheik and Volkoff get that heel heat because they butcher the English language. Rotunda and Windham didn't say shit. Mean Gene's like, Mike Rotunda, what are your thoughts? All the talking is done. We're going to the ring right now. What about you, Barry Windham? Gene, we're on our way to the ring right now. You're the champs! That's your fucking promo? Also, this is a pre-taped interview. You're still in your street clothes. How the fuck are you going to the ring right now? And what's with Captain Lou Albano? Is he drinking a beer? I never understood the rubber bands in his face. The fuck is that? Why didn't any heel ever snap those bands or rip them out of his fucking face? Yo, and whoever put this card together, why did you book 2 championship matches back to back? That's not how you put a card together, guy. Oh, but you're the experts. Gotcha. So explain the logic as to why this works, especially if it's back-to-back heel victories for the title. I know JYD technically won his match because it was reversed, but he didn't get the strap. Spoilers, even though it's been 40 fucking years, Sheik and Volkoff win the straps in this match. So again, the design of this card works why? You kick off with 3 jobber matches, you kill the crowd with a nostalgic match, then 2 championship matches where the heels go over with the belts. What happened to the lift them up and bring them down to lift them back up again logic? I'm giving this show an extra thumbs down for the shitty design of the card. Back to this tag match. Crowd popped pretty hard for the US Express, but they were the pretty boys on the card, you know, the heartthrobs. I don't know how many women were actually at the first WrestleMania, so if that pop was from a bunch of dudes, it might be the biggest AO moment in Mania history. Rotundo and Wyndham were great. I just don't recall the enormous fanfare over them when they were champions. I could be wrong, I was young back then. But I really don't remember a huge pop for a tag team until we got like the Bulldogs. Then again, look at the scenario. Your opponents are anti-Americans from Russia and Iran. Sheiky baby just said USA, hak tui. And the All-American boys come out wearing the gold. As an American, of course you're gonna pop. Anyway, this match was actually a lot better than I remember it. It was very similar to the IC title match between Valentine and JYD. The heels didn't need to cheat but worked as a cohesive unit and formidable threat to the champions. They already had the heat from being anti-Americans, so anytime the US Express made a comeback, the fans rallied behind them. The match was fair and balanced for both teams. They didn't waste a lot of time on rest holds, and the timing was pretty tight, just like the IC title match. And considering that there are 4 talents in the ring, each one of them got their moment to shine. You can't ask for more than that. The finish was textbook heel. Fans are chanting USA, and the boys are looking to retain until Classy Freddie Blassie slides his cane to Sheiky baby to give Barry Windham a little love tap on the back. But that's how it was in those days. You had to sell that. But what you also did was give these anti-American heels the victory and crown them new tag team champions. And you cooled down that overly patriotic crowd that was chanting USA, and now they're stunned that the villains are the new champs. They didn't see that coming. But let me ask you this. You got that screwed finish in the match before with Valentine and JYD. Then Tito Santana comes out and cops a bleed to the ref. So the ref restarts the match and counts out Valentine. How come nobody's listening to Lou Albano right now? Wyndham's knocked the fuck out. Albano's telling the ref, yo, he got hit with Blassie's cane. Ref don't care. We have new tag team champions. What's the lesson here? Don't wear rubber bands on your fucking face. Nobody will ever take you seriously, no matter what you say. That's like all these dumbass kids today getting face tattoos. You know what that says in real life? I'm good with minimum wage. So Sheik, Volkoff, and Blassie go to the back. More heel promos for that extra TV heat. Mean Gene asks Blassie, where's your cane? Blassie's like, what cane? I didn't have a cane. It's like fucking Donald Trump over here managing Sheik and Volkoff. You know the world just watched it on TV, you lying motherfucker. Overall, this match does everything it intended to do. It builds heat, it shocks the fans, it crowns new champions, and now we await the fallout and return match. My only complaint is that you booked a similar finish to back-to-back championship matches, but that's forgivable, and DieHard's giving this one another big thumbs up. Our next match, the Battle of the Giants, Big John Studd versus Andre the Giant. You can't expect much out of this match. Plus, we've seen it dozens of times before. This is just a special attraction with the biggest guys on the card. This is Vince McMahon's Carnival Barker match. Hurry, hurry, step right up and see the Battle of Two Giants. If you've never seen wrestling before, you won't believe their enormous size. If you do watch wrestling, this would be the perfect time to go take a bathroom break. So this is a $15,000 body slam match. I guess if Andre slams Studd, he wins $15K. Mean Gene's in the back interviewing Studd, and Studd selling how heavy the bag is with the money. Bro, it's only $15,000. Relax. Studd and Heenan open a little duffel bag to reveal the money. They got a bunch of crumbled up dollar bills, like somebody just robbed a stripper. This is the 80s. Before you could make it rain on a hoe, you'd have to crumble up $1 into a little ball and throw it like a Mariano Rivera cutter. Yo, I want to see some racks with bank bands around them. This looks like a drug deal about to go wrong. They never interview Andre before the match because you can't understand what the fuck he's saying. They added an additional stipulation, or at least they weren't focusing on it. So Andre slams stud, he gets $15K, but if he doesn't slam stud, he has to retire. Everyone's focused on the money and not the damn threat of Andre ending his career. You ever notice how limited these giant matches were? Punch, chop, kick, choke, bear hug, squish in the corner. I guess that's why the body slam was such a big spot in this match. Finally, one of these big fuckers is gonna get off his feet. I'm guessing Andre was just entering the final chapter of his career. He's not moving the way everybody talks about him. I've seen him do some wild shit in Japan and across the territories. This last ride for the big man was not impressive at all. He had about 5 years left in him at this point, and that's stretching it. But let's not forget the 5-year run that he had as a monster heel. You can't sleep on a legend like this. He's doing the best with what he has to work with at this point in his career. This match ends, obviously, with Andre slamming stud, but then Bobby Heenan stiffing the Giant by snatching the big bag with the money. I'm torn here because the match itself sucked and was too predictable. But this is the kind of match and gimmick that you need on a WrestleMania, and in the end, it got its job done. Out of respect to the attraction, I want to give it a thumbs up, but there's nothing special to remember about this match. It's another been there, done that. You know what? Fuck it. Thumbs down. Oh, and by the way, we got that Andre the Giant interview after the match. Couldn't understand what the fuck he was saying. He talks like he's gargling balls. Mean Gene asks him where the money is. Andre's like, I don't know. You know what Andre needed? He needed Lex Luger back there to translate for him. Gene's like, hey Andre, what happened to the money?
I don't know!
See? That works out a lot better. Next up is the Women's Championship. Leilani Kai with the Fabulous Moolah defends against Wendy Richter with Cyndi Lauper. Before we get started, can I just say the absolute travesty that it is that Cyndi Lauper is not in the WWE Hall of Fame. You realize without Cyndi Lauper, there is no WrestleMania. There is no Forbidden Door with MTV. It's been 40 years and no one has ever thought, hey, it's time to give Cyndi her flowers, because if it wasn't for her, none of this would be possible. Yes, Mr. T was a major part of the event, but he's in the Hall of Fame. It took him about 35 years, but he made it. Muhammad Ali is going in at WrestleMania 40, and I love Ali as an athlete and as a humanitarian, but we're talking about the WWE Hall of Fame. Without the war to settle the score on MTV and the endorsement of a major music star on the most talked about network on cable TV that introduced WWE to a new generation of fans, you think WrestleMania happens? Sure, maybe one day, but not in 1985. Not when Vince risked it all and only had the skid on his ass left if it failed. 40 years and billions of dollars later, and Cyndi Lauper can't be honored with a simple thank you and enshrinement into the WWE Hall of Fame? Where are your priorities? I hope when you finally call, she flips you the fucking bird. Anyway, back to this match. Lauper was ready to roll and cut one of the better backstage promos of the night. Same with Wendy, she was fired up. Can't say the same about Moolah and Leilani. I hate to say it, but women's wrestling was not as over as it is today. If fans didn't want to see Cyndi Lauper live and in the flesh so bad, those seats would have been empty for a popcorn intermission. They stayed to see Cyndi Lauper. Hate to say it, but it's true. Richter and Lauper come out to Cyndi's smash hit, Girls Just Wanna Have Fun, fans lose it. That song is still hot on the radio at that time. She's a legit celebrity, and that's what WrestleMania is built on. The fanfare and special attractions with celebrity involvement in these marquee matches. Cyndi Lauper fit right in. She was an absolute natural. I don't know how they never brought her back. Now I know the importance of this match, but let's be real. It fucking sucked. I know women's wrestling hadn't evolved yet, and also, these women were tough. They were trained like men and stretching the shit out of each other. But the quality of this match was the drizzling shits. At the time, nobody respected women's wrestling, and this match didn't do anything to help that argument. Leilani Kai comes off the top rope for a high crossbody because clearly she was like, fuck Steamboat's match, I'm gonna do it too. Wendy was supposed to catch her and roll over with the momentum for the pin, but something went wrong because it landed like a thud, and then Wendy had to shimmer her way into the 69 position. Poor Leilani had to sell it and not kick out. Whatever, it doesn't even matter. Mission accomplished. Cyndi Lauper carries Wendy Richter to victory and regains the Women's Championship. What's funny is that there's a couple of moments in the match where Lauper put her hands on Moolah, and clearly Cyndi didn't know who she was fucking with. Moolah didn't look too happy about it either. She looked like she wanted to stretch a bitch. Cyndi's taunting her like this. The fuck is that? Moolah could have grabbed her at any time and been like, hey, You know I pimp these girls out to the boys in the back, right? Because boys also want to have fun. And for the record, I don't condone Moolah's actions. I know she's already been canceled, and it's common knowledge what she fucking did. In my opinion, she's like the female Vince. I'm not defending her in any way. I'm just saying shit could have gone down different for Cyndi Lauper on live TV if Moolah decided to shoot on her. Now that would have been a Mania moment. But there was nothing special here. I appreciate what Cyndi did for wrestling, but the match shit the bed. And if WWE isn't gonna honor the match, then why should I? And I was a bigger Madonna fan in the 80s anyway, so fuck it. Thumbs down. Yo, in that post-match interview, why didn't anybody tell Cyndi Lauper she had lipstick all over her teeth? Ugh. Alright, and here's the main event. Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. This is the one that the world has waited to see. And they're going to wait a little longer because we have to stuff the main event with celebrities. New York Yankees manager Billy Martin as guest ring announcer. Heard he was drunk off his ass, allegedly. Guest timekeeper Liberace came out with a bunch of showgirls to ring his little bell. Another moment in the show where kids looked at their parents and asked, who the fuck is that? Why Liberace was at WrestleMania is beyond me. Why didn't they have him sing the national anthem? We could have kicked off the show with a little pizzazz, and then get him the fuck out of here. But this is Vince's idea of pumping celebrity steroids into the main event. Let's beef it up with celebrities like Liberace. Yo, Vince, that's not the kind of beef Liberace's into. Ayo! Muhammad Ali comes out as a referee. He really wasn't the referee, Pat Patterson was. So what exactly was the point of Ali being a ref? Sounds more like he was an outside enforcer. But no, let's say he's the referee, even though he's not the referee. Piper, Orndorff, and Orton coming out to some mega heat. They have pissed people off along the way. That's exactly the kind of reaction you need for a main event heel. Not just for the sake of heat, but if the hatred is that hot, can you imagine how that place is going to erupt when the beloved babyfaces come out? This shot of Hulk Hogan always got me. You see the amount of pressure on his face, the immense responsibility that he bears on his shoulders, the amount of stress that rides on his name because the company is built around him. Say what you will about him now. I won't stop you. It's probably true. But in 1985, there was no one bigger than him in all of pro wrestling. Hogan, Mr. T, and Superfly Snuka, the three biggest baby faces in the WWE. I wonder if they ever considered making this a six-man tag match by adding Orton and Snuka into the mix. Those are two really solid names that should have had matches of their own on the card. Instead, they're reduced to cornermen for the evening. You could have had them wrestle each other as a prelude to the main event. Missed opportunity, but fuck it, they got Mania checks. Fucking Liberace got paid to ring that tiny crystal bell. What a waste of money. They still had to ring the regular bell. Nobody heard Tinkerbell with that little piece of shit going ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. The energy in this ring is unbelievable. This match alone just catapulted the WWE into a level of its own. Everything before this was just filler. And as much as I give props to Cyndi Lauper, Mr. T is equally responsible for the success of this event. Like it or not, Roddy Piper's the MVP of this match. His heat alone was bankable. And when you add to the mix, whether it was a shoot or a work, how he felt about Mr. T wrestling in the main event of WrestleMania when the business was still heavily protected by kayfabe, it's incredible. It's awe-inspiring, everything Roddy Piper did to get there and what he's doing right now in the main event of the biggest show in the history of the business. I don't think he gets enough credit. Hogan was the golden child and carried all the responsibility on his shoulders, but what good would Hogan have been if he didn't have the caliber of Roddy Piper as a heel? There's a great moment early in the match when shit gets out of control. Again, it's super early. There's only been about 3 moves between Piper and Mr. T. Everybody rushes the ring. Ali jumps on the apron as the enforcer. Ace Orton gets involved. And then Jimmy Snuka climbs to the top and just stands there like a bird perched on a fucking branch. What was he going to do? Superfly everybody? It's 3-on-2 in the opposite corner. Why aren't you helping your team? You going to stay on the top rope waiting for an opportunity to get your shit in? Talk about heel heat from Piper. After the melee, he's like, fuck it. We're out of here. Crowd loses it. They're like, yo, this shit ain't over yet, is it? I've been waiting all night for this match. You're not just going to walk out. I want a fucking refund. And I love how Hulk Hogan runs up to Pat Patterson, who's counting Piper's team out of the ring, and Hogan has this look of panic on his face. He's like, Pat, stop counting. I gotta pin this motherfucker, or else we're not gonna have jobs tomorrow. Man, this has all the ingredients of a perfect grudge match. And in 1985, you know why it worked so well? Because you didn't have Monday Night Raw, where these four guys were in a series of different matches, touching each other every single week leading into this. The hatred had been boiling up for months, and finally they got the green light to fucking explode. Piper selling like the best of them and making his opponents look so damn good. What a master at his craft. Shout out to Mr. T. All he had was a few body slams, a fireman's carry, and a hip toss, but he delivered when it was needed. Since we're giving away participation trophies, I guess we gotta give some credit to Hulk Hogan for selling a weak-ass chair shot and a double atomic drop. Uh-oh. No wonder he's needed so many back surgeries. It's a bold move to have Hogan taking the beating and doing all the selling for his team. But I guess it makes sense. Mr. T can't sell like that. But also, what is Mr. T capable of doing when Hogan finally makes that hot tag? I guess logically, if Mr. T were the one taking the legit beating, Piper and Orndorff could have won this match 10 minutes earlier. Alright, I'll buy it. See, that's what I'm talking about. Hogan makes the hot tag, Mr. T gets cut off quick, shit gets real sloppy here, Orndorff has to hold him down because T is getting reckless, Mr. T doesn't know how to sell. He thinks this shit is real. I think Roddy was legit choking T the fuck out. You see how T made that tag? T was blowing up. He was getting the fuck out of there. Look at him on the apron. That's not selling, that's for real. Hogan tags in and has to improvise the finish. Orton and Snuka get into the mix of this mess, and it leads to the finish of Orton hitting Orndorff with the cast. Hogan gets the pin for the win, and WrestleMania is history. Piper's team loses the match, but he still leaves with the heat, slugging the ref and blowing snot on his partner Paul Orndorff for eating the pin. Even in defeat, Piper is still telling his story and setting up his next feud. The match ends with the classic babyface turn. Orndorff wakes up and sees he's been abandoned by his team and left surrounded by his foes, but it's his foes who came to his aid, and now they have a common enemy in Roddy Piper. As I said before, this match had every ingredient to make it a classic and to set the bar for the spectacle that we know as WrestleMania. There's so much to learn from this match, from the build to the execution, the storytelling, and the emotion, and then when you sprinkle in the celebrities, which for the inaugural WrestleMania makes all the sense in the world. It delivers on every level imaginable, even though it's the only WrestleMania where the world title was not defended. And to be honest, that's not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, it seems like 40 years later, WWE is going back to the basics. And while the championship will be defended on night 2, there will be a mega star-studded tag team match main eventing night 1, when Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins team up to face champions Roman Reigns and the Hollywood superstar The Rock. But for WrestleMania 1, for this main event, for the one that started it all, it gets a huge thumbs up from DieHard. So the overall tally for WrestleMania 1 is a 50-50 split. 5 thumbs up and 5 thumbs down. But in all fairness, one of the thumbs down was over the structure of the card, so we're going to pull that one away. And the thumbs up's going to take the victory 5-4. Not bad for the very first WrestleMania. As we discussed, there was some room for improvement in the beginning, and then there were some concessions made for nostalgic purposes or special attractions. But overall, the event delivered. And while the quality may not necessarily hold up to today's standards 40 years later, there are still some basics that can be learned from. That's it for me. Don't forget to drop an elbow on that subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video so it's recommended to other marks like you. And don't forget to comment and give me your thoughts on this event, WrestleMania 1, the one that started it all. Until the next one, I'm DieHard Derek. Can you dig it?